Now, this is a big story that started to surface this week, although there's been rumblings going on, and probably this story will have a profound effect on the fortunes of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club as we move into the 1970s. Stafford Smythe, who vowed in June of 1969 that he would regain his presidency of Maple Leaf Gardens, from which he was dumped by antagonistic directors, is going to make good on that prediction, according to reports in the Toronto Star and Globe and Mail. There's a meeting being held of the board of directors on December 17th. That's the Gardens annual general meeting. Now, here is how Smythe and his partner in crime, literally Harold Ballard, are going to pull this off. Most of the directors who opposed Smythe and Ballard at the time that they were booted from their executive positions won't be standing for re-election to the board of directors. Now, this is going to include John Bassett, the chairman of the board, whose vote in June of '69 was supposed to have been the one that resulted in the ouster of Smythe and Ballard in the first place. As a bit of history on this, that 1969 action stemmed from the dissatisfaction of the board over the financial affairs at Maple Leaf Gardens, one of the most successful sports operations on the continent and possibly the world. Both Smythe and Ballard later were charged with income tax evasion by the Canadian government. At the time of their ouster, many records of garden business already had been seized by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, who conducted this investigation. Now, the situation gets murkier when a York County judge by the name of Joseph Kelly recently refused to hear the charges against Smythe. He agreed with the contention of Smythe's lawyers that the rights of the accused had been jeopardized because the sections under which the charges were laid contravened the Canadian Bill of Rights. The Income Tax Department has announced it's going to seek to reverse that decision, as well it should. Now, charges against Ballard haven't been heard and probably will not come to trial because of the outcome of the Smythe case. John Bassett, whom many people feel should be the man running Maple Leaf Gardens, confirmed that he was departing from the board of directors, and he emphasized that there would be no proxy fight. Such a test, he indicated, could have only one result. Bassett said that between Smythe and Ballard, they represent about 40% of Maple Leaf Gardens stock. About 39% of that stock is not held or controlled by the three of us, that meaning the other directors. For me to gain control, Bassett says, I would have to get about 30 of that 39%, and there's just no way I can do it. So Bassett just said, okay, boys, you represent your 40% of the shares. You should have your own board, and I'm out of here. John Bassett was known as pretty much a straight shooter, a good guy, and I think he could see just how Maple Leaf Gardens was going to be run in the future under a Ballard and Smythe regime. Now, one thing we do know is that Ballard and Smythe have recompensed the board for an amount in excess of that which is in dispute with the income tax people. In other words, they've paid money back that they shouldn't probably have had out of Maple Leaf Gardens funds anyway. Now, Bassett said that we had a meeting of the board last week, and the auditors, Ballard and Smythe, of course, were there. And here's where a motion at their request was passed that really alters the executive hierarchy of Maple Leaf Gardens. The motion was passed to reduce the number of directors on the board from 20 to 9. That will be done at the annual meeting on December 17th, according to John Bassett, and that's where Ballard and Smythe will regain control of Maple Leaf Gardens.